in this first hour, I'd like to raise a question. Really, I'm making an assertion, but maybe you've got other examples you can add to the mix. And on the one hand, I'm not super enthusiastic about turning this into a complaint fest. Maybe you have solutions. I mean, to the loss of democracy in America. I mean, this is what I want to cover in this first hour is America a democratic republic or a constitutionally limited representative democratic republic, which is what the founders set up? Is it that anymore? Or have we become an oligarchic aristocracy, a hereditary aristocracy? Great wealth moves down through families now rather than through merit and through effort. The people who occasionally rise up and make a whole pile of money, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, are few and far between. And Mark Zuckerberg now is funding in that secret window between October 15th and the November election. It turns out, he was one of the guys that was funding some right way. Well, I'll get into that in a second. But the point is that this whole idea of democracy in the United States, of a country of, by, and for the people, to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln, is on the edge of going away. In the one realm, you've got the kind of Ed Snowden revelations of the infrastructure for a police state having been aggressively constructed after 9/11 by the Bush administration and still in place and still growing. So there's that. But more importantly is the power of billionaires and corporations to control legislation. There is so much money in this town right now because the best investment you can make in the United States for many businesses, not all, but for many businesses, is to buy politicians. Or even better is to buy legislation. You can buy legislation at the state level by joining ALEC and getting your legislation in there. You can buy legislation at the federal level by hiring a lobbying firm. And people are doing this. For example, the banksters. Here, this is a headline from a column by Zach Carter in the Huffington Post. The headline pretty much says it all. Wall Street demands derivatives deregulation and government shutdown bill. Okay, well, that sounds pretty bad. Wall Street's demanding derivatives deregulation. It's even worse. Under Dodd-Frank, if a bank wants to gamble on derivatives, and they are doing it, right? It's back to being a $400, $500, $600 trillion nobody knows market. And under Dodd-Frank, if a bank wants to do that, they have to do it out of a division of the bank, a corporation of that the bank owns, which is not FDIC insured. Meaning that if their derivative bets go down the tubes, as happened in 2007, they cannot turn to the federal government and say, make us whole, or here's the system. Here's how it would work. Let's say that you're banking with Bank of America, and just to pull a name out of the air, and I don't know if the Bank of America is doing this or not. So maybe we should call it Acme Bank. Actually, let's say you're banking with Acme Bank. And Acme Bank has a gambling division, right? An investment division, an investment advisor. It's called Acme Bank Investment Advisors or something like that, where you can buy stock and they'll manage your 401k and that kind of stuff. And they've got a commercial banking division where you can have a checkbook and a savings account and a credit card. Now, the commercial division is where your money is deposited, that's protected by the FDIC. So if you have up to $250,000 in the bank and that bank goes down in flames, up to $250,000, you get repaid by the government, by FDIC, which is, by the way, underfunded. So what Dodd-Frank said was, if you're going to do derivative trades that could cause your bank to lose so much money that you would have to take your investors' funds, you can't do that out of an FDIC-insured bank. In other words, you can't, because the way it would work is, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm a customer of Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, and I've got, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it may be in my checking and savings account with that bank, 50, 100,000, you name it, anything less than 250. The bank has huge derivatives losses, and so they simply say, we're taking your money to pay off our losses, and the federal government will repay you. This is what the banks want. It's not what they have right now. Under Dodd-Frank, they don't have this. But here, according to this story, Wall Street lobbyists are trying to secure taxpayer backing for many derivative trades. The banks are pushing hard. These would allow financial institutions to trade certain financial derivatives from subsidiaries that are insured by the FDIC. And Congress looks like, the Republicans are just gung-ho for this. This is once again another demonstration. Mitch McConnell's in favor of this. Another demonstration, apparently, of how, and in fact, this is being, oddly enough, this is being pushed by a Democrat, Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. He introduced a bill to this effect last year. The bill was written by a Citigroup lobbyist. So it's both parties. Here's another one. The government shutdown talks may gut retirement security rule. This is amazing. This is amazing. Just consider this for a moment. When you hire a financial advisor, you go into Edward Jones and Company or Fidelity or fill in the blank, right? You go to some company that does investment advice and say, I've got a 401k or I'm going to start one, and here's my $10,000 to start it this year. You invest the money. There is a rule that is not in place, but has been proposed by Democrats in the House of Representatives that would require investment advisors to act in the best interests of their clients. Right now, what they can do is say, okay, cool, I'm going to put you into this fund, the Acme Widget Fund, which, by the way, pays me a 20% commission. Right? So they take your money and they act in their best interest, not your best interests. And because, 401k fees over the course of a lifetime can add up to well over $100,000 for the average American who has a 401k, which is, probably the top 20% of Americans. But whatever. It's an enormous amount of money, maybe the top 50%. I don't know. But this policy would impose a fiduciary duty on financial professionals who oversee retirement accounts, barring them from considering the potential profits of their own firm when choosing investments. Instead, they have to pick stocks, bonds, and other assets based on what's best for the retiree. This was first introduced by the Department of Labor, the Obama administration, in 2010, and it was tabled after massive pushback from the finance industry. Now, Republicans are pushing a budget rider. Right.